Greetings, fellow detectives. Wizard Kitten here, bringing you a new build in my series building Nancy Drew in The Sims 4. Today I am bringing you the Casa de Giochi. Probably said that incorrectly. The House of Games from Nancy Drew Phantom of Venice. I have also built kind of a rendition of the Rialto Market from Phantom of Venice, and I wanted to give the House of Games a try for a couple of different reasons. One, I thought it would look really nice in Tartosa, and I have found that I want more activities for my Sims to do when they visit Tartosa on particularly their honeymoons. Tartosa is the new world that came with The Sims 4 My Wedding Stories pack, which, side note, I actually love. I did wait to get it until it had been fixed, until all of the bugs were worked out and they released the big fix patch. And I legitimately think that it works really well. Like, I've used it a couple different times now. I've had a couple different Sims weddings, and obviously it's not perfect because it's, you know, a video game and the Sims have a certain level of autonomy and they do silly things sometimes, but it is very functional. And I love the level of detail that it adds to my Sims weddings. I know it's been kind of a controversial pack because when it was released, it was so broken. But if it means anything to you, I do wholeheartedly recommend it. I have really enjoyed playing with it, and I think Tartosa is a great world, especially when I add in more things for my Sims to do, because there aren't a ton of things to do. In my personal save file, I did also kind of flesh out the beach quite a bit. I made it a wedding venue. It's not listed as a wedding venue, it's listed as an actual beach, but then I put enough things there that it could be a wedding venue if you wanted it to be, and then just made it a really busy beach and gave it lots of activities to do and lots of lounge chairs and towels and a grill spot and a bar, an ice cream machine so your Sims can get ice cream. And when I was building this location, the Casa de Giochi, again, so hard to say, it's like a tongue twister, I wanted to have it chock full of activities, chock full of things for the Sims to do, which makes sense because it's a house of games, and so there should be a lot of activities inside. And when you look at the exterior view of the House of Games, which is kind of what I'm recreating now, I did change a couple of things. A lot of the pillars and the fences in the actual game are white, and I started off with that, you probably noticed that, and then decided to change it to brown and tan to go with more of the Mediterranean style that looks really nice in The Sims and that we have a lot of good swatches for. I just think it looks better for Tartosa, and it looks better in The Sims overall. I think in Phantom of Venice, the white columns and fences look really pretty and it looks really nice. It just didn't work and wasn't translating as well as I wanted it to in The Sims. So executive decision there to change up the colors a little bit. But we have the iconic dumpster on the outside where Nancy kind of goes diving and finds a bunch of clues. We have the petrol, right? I think that's what it is, where Nancy eventually opens it up to find a key. I think it's a petrol tank, like an oil tank of some sort. But that's what that giant air conditioner is supposed to represent. And then I did try to kind of keep everything else the same, like the big sign that kind of labels the House of Games, the bench on the outside. And the upper level of this build is designed and was completely inspired by the view that we get of this courtyard in the game itself, as was like the stone of the courtyard and the fountains. So all of it was definitely inspired from the game. I just kind of like changed up the color, changed up some of the textures to try and make it look better in The Sims, and I'm very happy with how it turned out. I really enjoyed making this build. I did also have a nice iced oat milk latte right before I decided to make this build, which gave me a good caffeine boost, really got my inspiration going. And the House of Games part, and then there's this extra upper part, so I needed to fill it in with something besides just the House of Games. It wouldn't have made sense to have like just ping pong tables and foosball tables all over the place. And so I decided to make the other half kind of a cafe. So there's lots of activities for your Sims to do because we have the House of Games, so they can play lots of different games with their significant other, their friends, their family, whoever they decide to come to Tartosa with. And then there's the cafe, so they can get a coffee, they can get a nice little pastry. And then on the upper level of the cafe is kind of like the date area where it almost has the feeling of a wine bar almost. And then we also make a little lounge area with a guitar and a microphone to kind of simulate like an open mic night. So we'll eventually see the interior coming together and all of those details, but I just love how many things there are to do at this location, and I'm really pleased with how the rendition of the actual House of Games came together, because I do feel like it does look like how I imagine Enrico Tazza would want his establishment to look on the inside. A little bit intimidating, a little bit bougie, a little fancy, but still very put together, very neat, and especially like the cafe area and the architecture on the outside. I put these vines and these bright yellow flowers all over on the outside, and I just love how it turned out. That's honestly really the only landscaping, because the rest of the landscaping is the courtyard. So we have these stones from Jungle Adventure and then just some base game brick. And that decision was made based on seeing the Phantom of Venice and looking at it in the game, because that's how it is actually in the Phantom of Venice. So I wanted to try and recreate that as well. And I'm glad that I did, because it just gives it a little bit more dimension. It just looks like there's a little bit more going on the outside, to kind of give the idea of landscaping. I use these big, beautiful flower, not bushes, these flower kind of art installments that I believe came from City Living, and then there's like little umbrella tables out front. So this is the cafe entrance out front, and I have always thought that the entrance to the Casa dei Giochi looks more like the back entrance, which is why I put it at the back of this build. I do think that the roofing is a little strange. I mean, it's basically just two buildings intersecting each other with this big giant roofing. But I don't know, for some reason it works for me. I wasn't too bothered by it. I know that it does actually like look a little bit strange, and yet I was okay with it. I legitimately think it just kind of works somehow, and I think that's probably because there is so much detail going on with the kind of open air windows. That's probably the main reason I felt like it was okay, is that there was still enough dimension to kind of compensate for the two really big giant roofs. But now we are working on the interior here. I decided to go with dark red and dark wood because I thought it was just, a little bit intimidating, a little scary. And the lighting in this space, I definitely wanted to go for very minimal lighting. I wanted it to be dark and a little bit spooky. And this is the Scopa table. So this is where people come in and they play Scopa with Enrico. He, of course, gets a giant throne chair, like a ridiculously opulent throne chair, because he totally would. I mean, Enrico's a little extra. He would definitely have a big throne chair and then make everyone else who plays with him sit in these still nice chairs, but crappy in comparison to his big, nice throne chair. I did also enjoy putting the plaque on the wall that has the Carnival masks to kind of harken back to the game itself. And then I filled this room with just so many valuable items. I figured he would definitely be flexing and showing off all of the really nice things that he has stolen, but nobody would be brave enough to ask if they were stolen items. But they're definitely stolen, like those paintings, all of the statues that are on these tables. And then there's a spectator area with these big comfy red chairs so people can watch the Scopa games, and Enrico can again flex on his prowess and be like, oh yeah, look how amazing I am winning at all of these Scopa games. And of course we know, or at least I know, that Enrico cheats, and that's why he's winning all of the Scopa games. I say that because I think it has been on both of the live streams that I've done for Phantom of Venice during both streamathons, where I end up playing Scopa for hours. Literal hours, at least 2. Because Enrico would just keep winning. And so much of Scopa is luck. Like, if you get the right card at the right time, then you're gonna get a Scopa, or the other person is not gonna get kind of like the matches that they need, the cards that they need. So much of it comes down to luck, and for whatever reason, the algorithm hates me. So it's a running joke for me that Enrico cheats at Scopa all day long, and that's what he just does. I'm sure he gets a kick out of it, honestly. I could see him really enjoying that. Funnily enough, Enrico Tazza is my favorite character in Phantom of Venice. I know he is a character that we speak to very little. I know that we never see his face. I know that we don't really get to know that much about his personality. But the little that we do get to know, I enjoy Enrico a lot. I think he's hilarious, and I enjoy his inclusion in this game. I also really wanted to put in these fish tanks because it just reminded me a lot of Swimming with the Fishes. So it's almost like a threat to everyone at the House of Games. Like, hey, if you don't pay up your bets, you're going to be swimming with the fishes. So we have aquariums on both sides, so everyone knows. And then every possible bar game that you can play, I put in this House of Games. So over here by the fishing area, we have a Don't Wake the Llama game, which is exactly the same as the card table game, where you can play Scopa. But if you put the little llama stack on it, basically the stack that looks like Sims Jenga, then your Sims can play Don't Wake the Llama, which again is just Sims Jenga. And then we also include 2 dartboards, which is actually kind of fun to watch your Sims play because it keeps score while you're doing it, which is kind of fun. And then foosball and ping pong. So your Sims can come here and they can play all sorts of games. They can get a nice drink, and if they're feeling brave enough, they can go into the back room and challenge Enrico Tazza to a game of Scopa. I did also sort of put like a bouncer stand. It's just the check-in stand from Dine Out. So if this was a restaurant, that's where the Sims would stop to get seated by the host. A host stand, I suppose. But I like to think that it's the bouncer stand. And I put these chairs at the very front because I imagine that whoever comes into the House of Games and like says basically like a secret code, like, or I want to talk to Enrico or Scopa or just any sort of secret code that they might have, I imagine that they have to sit on those teeny little chairs by the entrance while the bouncer goes and checks with Enrico to make sure that he was expecting someone. And were you expecting a woman wearing sunglasses and a blonde wig and a red dress? And was her name Samantha Quick? And should we let her in to play Scopa with you? So yeah, that's basically the House of Games part. And now we are moving on to the cafe part. So this part is much more bright, much more pleasant, definitely less spooky, less intimidating. This part is meant to be like very cozy, just a nice hangout spot. I do this whole big kind of storage and bar space behind the espresso bar just to make it look like, you know, all sorts of coffee things are stored behind here. Anything that the barista would need to make coffee and pastries and whatnot. Add a little microwave, even though it's not necessary, but just little things like that to fill in the space and hopefully make it look like a more realistic cafe, a nice little place for your Sims to go on a date. And they don't even have to go on a date here if they don't either live in Tartosa or if they aren't here on their honeymoon. I love that they made the Sims 4 worlds a lot more flexible now, where any new world that can have rental lots in it or seems like it would be a vacation world exclusively can also be a lot or a place that your Sims can just visit on the regular. They can live there. They don't have to visit it on a vacation like Outdoor Retreat or Jungle Adventure. So Selva Dorada and Granite Falls, where you actually have to go to those places on vacation and you really can't like leave. You can't just go visit a place there casually kind of thing. So yeah, I really enjoy that addition. I think they should open up Granite Falls and Selva Dorada so that that's possible for those worlds too, but I don't know. I don't know what kind of crazy coding and whatnot prohibits something like that, or if they just don't want to go back and do that. I was curious because the Sims team was sort of dropping some hints recently that kind of made it seem like Outdoor Retreat is probably going to be like the next pack refresh. Or I was thinking that it might be, but now they're saying like there might be this backyard stuff kit kind of thing, or that they seem to be hinting at that as well. There is a new game pack coming, and that's like almost certainly werewolves. If you watch the trailer, if you've heard anything in the Sims community, it's almost certainly going to be werewolves, which I don't know how I feel about. As a occult, I have never been that interested in werewolves. I've never been like significantly interested in vampires either, but the vampires game pack was made really well. I'm definitely more like a witch kind of occult lover, witches and wizards, and the spellcasters in The Sims 4 that came with Realm of Magic are cool. I have not explored them nearly enough. I definitely want to do that more. I haven't explored vampires hardly at all, and so I just kind of know that it's going to take me a long time to get to werewolves if I ever even do. I will eventually, because I'm doing a legacy challenge right now where each generation is a different expansion or game pack, and I have to do all of like the gameplay associated with that pack and all the aspirations and traits and careers and whatnot. And I haven't gotten to any of the occult ones yet, except I am currently on Strangerville, so I'm randomly spinning a wheel and it assigns me an expansion pack and a game pack. And then I randomly spin a wheel to get 2 random stuff packs to kind of just give it a little bit of flavor. And I'm currently on Strangerville, so I did play the Strangerville mystery for the first time. I had before watched other simmers play it, other YouTube simmers play it, so I knew what the drill was. I knew what it was going to be like, but I had never completed it myself, and it was fun. Like, it was enjoyable. I don't think I'll ever do it again, but it was a good time while it lasted. And I'm also currently playing, because one of the stuff packs that I got for this current generation was the paranormal stuff pack. So I'm also kind of doing some of the gameplay associated with that. And the thing that confuses me with the paranormal stuff pack is I'm not exactly sure when the gameplay ends, if it ever does. Because Temperance, the evil ghosty, she showed up, and then after that, I don't know if she comes back periodically or if I'm supposed to get rid of her somehow. I haven't quite figured that out yet. If you know, let me know in the comment section down below if there is like actually an end point where my house is no longer haunted because I like solved it or something. My sim has the maxed out medium skill, so she has everything she needs. We'll just have to figure that out. But anyway, we are on the upper level now of the build, and this is kind of the very casual date area, and I decorated it really minimally. I put these vines on the wall because I just thought it looked really cool and Tuscan, and all of these chairs up here are right next to the open air windows. I thought about putting fairy lights, and you'll see me like check it out a couple times just to see how it looks with the view, and I decided it just didn't need it, and it was almost cluttering things up too much. And this space didn't need a lot of decoration because the view sort of speaks for itself. It has been my favorite thing lately to, when I take my Sims out to different locations, to just kind of go into tab mode, so all of the interface disappears and you just get to see all of the beautiful animations, and to kind of zoom in and pretend like I'm in those locations with my Sims. So I can just very easily imagine Sims coming here on their honeymoon, getting a glass of red wine from the bar, which would be in the House of Games, but then they would have to bring it up to the upper level because, you know, Sims, and sitting up there drinking their glass of red nectar and looking out on the beautiful beach with the trees and everything. I just really enjoyed thinking about that and imagining that, because I'm also like really pining for summer right now. We're getting so close to summer break and our summer streamathon, which by the way is starting on May 29th. So mark your calendars. I did also do a YouTube community post and a post in the Discord to kind of say the whole schedule for the streamathon. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Our Nancy Drew streamathon is starting on May 29th, and I hope to see you all there. I'm very excited for that. Just in general, I'm so excited for summer. I'm very ready to be kind of done with this school year. It has been a long year. And the weather here now is just so nice. It's absolutely beautiful. We finally have leaves on the trees, which we didn't for the entirety of April. We had no leaves. It was cold. It was miserable. April, honestly, was really, really crummy. But May has been really gorgeous so far, and it's just really getting me in the summer mood. So I'm feeling very unmotivated to work right now, but very motivated to get to summer and to do all of my kind of favorite things. So making this build also very much got me in like a vacation kind of mood and a summer kind of mood and relaxing, like in this lounge area that we're building here with the guitar and the lanterns and this whole cobbled together seating. I imagined the residents of Venice just kind of got together and turned this into a makeshift little performance area, and I really liked that idea. I thought it looked really cozy, and this would be such a fun place to end a date to come up here and listen to somebody just like serenading on the guitar like they do in the gondolas. But we are going to be jumping into our tour very shortly here. So we're going to pop in and I'm going to show you kind of up close all of the build and what it looks like. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, everyone, and here we are at the Casa de Giochi, the House of Games. Out front here on the kind of patio level, we have the entrance to the cafe and bakery. So this is kind of the additional part that we added that isn't part of Phantom of Venice, but that helps to kind of fill out the rest of the building. And if we go to the back, if we go all the way around, our Mediterranean architecture style build is where we get to the entrance that looks a little bit more familiar from the game for the House of Games. So this is the one spot that we do see in the game, and then around back, this is the dumpster area where Nancy can find some clues. If we head in to the House of Games, we will see that we have this dark aesthetic, all of the red going on. We've got all sorts of games, basically any game that your Sims can play. We have ping pong, a couple Sims already getting up to it, which is awesome. Over here we have the bar area for the House of Games, and then kind of the check-in space. We have a foosball over here, the darts, and then a couple of aquariums. And then in the back here, we have a Don't Wake the Llama table with kind of some decor around the area as well. And the fish, just kind of getting across that swim with the fishes type vibe that we were going for. And then if we go into this back room, this is the secret room where Enrico Tazza would sit in his throne and play a game of cards, a game of Scopa with anyone who is unsuspecting. And of course, in this room we have a bunch of treasures, a bunch of valuable art. This is the pretty exclusive space within the build, within the House of Games. And then if we go over to the other building, we can take a look at the cafe. I am loving how the sun is looking on these flowers over here. But if we go into the cafe, over here we have the espresso bar and all of the delicious pastries that Sims can order. And this side is much brighter, a lot more friendly. And since this build is in Tartosa, this would be a great place to kind of go on a little date and kind of hang out in the sitting area down on this level if you are looking for something more casual. The all-important bathrooms around the back here. And then if we go up a level, then we come to kind of the more romantic space, and I think this area would look so beautiful at nighttime as almost like a little coffee or kind of wine bar area almost. So perfect for a romantic date if your Sims are here on their wedding or proposal or honeymoon. And over on the other side, if we kind of move through all of this open air architecture here, we have this little performance space. So very cobbled together, almost like this space wasn't being used, and a couple people within the community got together and decided, hey, let's make this kind of like an open mic area. So there's a little stage up in the front for Sims to kind of sing at, play guitar at, do stand-up comedy, what have you, and then just a wide variety of seating that has been cobbled together by residents of the area. So I do hope that you all really enjoyed this build. If you did, please feel free to hit that like button. If you really enjoyed it, please feel free to tip me with a super thanks. And as always, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more Nancy Drew and Sims 4 content. Thank you so much for watching, fellow detectives. I will see you soon.